Hi, my name is Lucas Borges, and I'm going to be presenting about HABs in Florida. So, if you don't know what HABs means, HAB stands for harmful algal bloom. These are caused by the quick growth of algae in an area, usually because of a surplus of nutrients, and this damages other organisms by producing toxins and can kill a lot of ecosystems in the area that they're in. So, I did a gizmo on data of a pond where I tracked the number of catfish and trout that were in a lake. And without farms, this is the data. As you can see, it's pretty normal. The number of catfishes and trouts that I find increase with time because I catch them over time. And the catfish is a little more, but they're about equal. And here is the data with farms. So here there was a lot of pollution from runoff, meaning that there's a lot of nutrients and there was a harmful algal bloom in the area. This meant that the catfish stayed relatively the same, but the trout were basically extinct in this pond. And that's because the nutrients from the farm allowed algae to grow and lower the oxygen levels in the pond. Since catfish don't need as much oxygen to live, they thrived while the trout all died. So the type of algae I'm going to be talking about today is Karenia brevis. This is what causes red tide in Florida primarily, and it's a very harmful algae because it produces something called a brevetoxin, which is a toxin that can kill a lot of fish, a lot of shellfish, and contaminate a lot of animals. So this is a map of the affected area. These dots are locations where the red tide was documented. And as you can see, it's only on the west coast of Florida. The east coast doesn't have any. And there's a reason for this. This is because the Gulf Coast has the Gulf of Mexico next to it, which is much warmer than the Atlantic Ocean. And a lot of nutrients from farms and runoff in the area causes this. The warm temperatures and salinity all come together and make perfect conditions for Karenia brevis to bloom, as well as the currents which lead it all together to the coast. This algal bloom kills a lot of fish, which is horrible for the ecology of the area. It disrupts the food web, which is really bad for predators that usually eat these fish or can cause a surplus of animals below them in the food web, which don't have any predators because the fish are dying from the algal bloom. This also contaminates all the shellfish that come into contact with it. And this also affects the economy that the humans have in the area. So a lot of people don't come to beaches like this because it's red and they know it's dangerous for them and all the fish in them. So it decreases the tourism, which we benefit a lot from. It lowers the recreational activities because a lot of people who would go to the beach don't, or people who would go swimming don't because of the dangerous red tide. This also damages fisheries, which usually need the fish to be healthy and the ecology to be going well for it to work out. But since the fish die and are contaminated, it doesn't work out. And the shellfish industry also suffers because shellfish aren't safe to eat because they get contaminated by this harmful red tide. So you might think, what can we do to clean up this and stop it from happening in the future? So we can work on water quality improvement. This would be managing the runoff and nutrient surpluses that come into our water. We could also look at the salinity and the water temperature to make sure that it's not perfectly set up for this toxin to grow, for these algae to grow and create toxins. We could do beach cleanups to prevent the nutrient surplus again, which would be really helpful for this and prevent pollution that's harmful in many other ways too. And we can do early warning systems to track if it's about to happen so we can prepare ourselves and fight it more efficiently. So to prevent further reoccurrences, we can reduce runoff from farms and other sources. This would prevent quick growth of algae. We can monitor the water quality. So again, the salinity, the currents, the temperature. We have to make sure it's not perfect for these algae to grow. Public awareness. This is really important because if a lot of people knew about it, they wouldn't be, maybe they'll be in the water anyway, so we can stop them from going in the water, or we can get more people to do things like beach cleanups. And we can mitigate climate change to monitor the temperature and make sure this doesn't keep happening. So this is some of the vocabulary I used. Algae, a type of organism, usually a bacteria or single-celled. HAB, harmful algal bloom. Sometimes people call it HAB. Red tide. Red tide is caused by Carenia brevis, the algae I've been talking about, and it's basically the accumulation of a lot of Carenia brevis or harmful algal bloom. Carenia brevis, the organism we've been talking about. Runoff, which is when nutrients run through water. Sometimes it rains and the water goes into the ocean, which causes this. Salinity, which is the salt levels in water. Toxins, which are harmful chemicals produced by algae or from harmful algal blooms. And brevetoxins, which are the specific toxins that Carenia brevis produces, which mainly causes in the first place. And these are my sources. I use the FWC, Ocean Service, EPA, Florida DEP, and a study by UF.